You're listening to the Online Entrepreneur Experience with Jarret Jenny and John Olson, aka Cheer.
So if I had to ask you, one of the most important, let's call it crucial, not just for business, but business, life, anything you want to do, what would you say like the most important skill would be?
Communication skills, hands down. Because if you're not communicating with, like-minded people or your clients or any of that, you're kind of dead in the water. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, communication's huge. I don't care if it's relationships. I don't care if it's business. I don't care if it's with your friends and family. If you can't communicate, you don't have anything.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, when I first started this online business, whatever, adventure, I'll call it, I didn't have communication skills like I do now.
Right.
I could talk people face to face, but it was not like going in front of a camera and explaining something. No, obviously I learned it now, but yeah, because once you open your mouth to the world, you're actually showing people actually who you are. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and definitely. And I totally understand the camera thing, because when I first launched my YouTube channel, I was never like super nervous, but you're your own worst critic. And I was like, God, I didn't explain this well, or I should have done this, or what do I do with my hands? Like, it was all sorts of just, you learn how to communicate things, and the better you get at it, the more success you're going to see. Because if you can't tell people where you're at, they don't know, they're not in your head, so people don't know what your intentions are. And that runs to business as well. I was just talking to another, call him a mentor, friend of mine, and he runs an automotive business as well. And I mean, he's successful. And he said, oh, this tail light's burnt out, and I watched him just go stick a bulb in it for the customer. And he said, took the old bulb, put it on the dash. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, people get weird, man. I replaced a bulb for some lady and she called me and reamed me out. I said, what? You didn't charge her, did you? And he goes, no, I didn't even charge her for it. I was just trying to be a nice guy, So now I always put the old one on the dash. So it's like, hey, I did this. We don't care, But if you don't communicate things to people, people go on the defensive. If people have to jump to conclusions because you can't communicate properly, 9 times out of 10, people are going to go to the negative side of things because they're protecting themselves.
Yeah. Yep. They're thinking you're pulling a fast one some way or somehow, because that's human nature. We always, myself, I've trained myself not to always go on the negative, but you always have to look for the positive. I know one of my friends, she has a Z71 pickup,
Nice.
Fairly new. I think it's 2018. But she's like, yeah, I had to replace my tire. She got 2 nails in it or something on a construction site. And she tells me, yeah, I'm sure I'll pick up some more. And I said, yeah, you will now, because you're thinking negatively. It's like, get ready to replace all 4 the next time, because she just went completely. And it was just like, she was just conviction. Well, I guess I'll probably get some more. And I'm like, well, you will now.
Yeah.
Speak your existence.
But, and for people who don't fully understand that, it's like red car, red car, red car, red car, red car. What are you going to see when you go out? Red cars, right? You got to find the positive in situations. And even like me, this just happened today. So I have a camera mount. It's a tripod that I use on my YouTube channel, and I'll set up my phone to get like time lapses and stuff. Well, I need that tripod on there to be able to do that. And then as I'm filming the rest of the episode, I'll go around with my camera on a different tripod and actually get some good footage. And I broke the tripod today. Like, it snapped the receiver end for the phone. And I was like, now what the hell am I going to do? Well, interestingly enough, about a year ago, I bought a super expensive gimbal for my phone. So it's a tripod gimbal with all these different features and stuff. I never figured out how to use it. And I was like, no, I can be pissed about my tripod being broke, or I can learn how to use this. It's forcing me to learn.
That's funny you bring that up, because my ring light, I broke that too. Well, I stepped on, it has that tripod on the bottom. I stepped on one of the arms and broke it right off. So what I did, I know. things made cheaply. No, I put a paper clip on it to extend it, and then I wrapped it with electrician's tape. True story.
Yeah.
And it works. So.
Well, nobody's gonna see it. But yeah, no, you gotta be able to communicate. And I think what we're trying to say is that even means with yourself. You know, if your self-talk isn't good, nothing going outward is gonna end up good for you at all. It all starts with you. And if you're not doing the things you need to do and talking to yourself the way that you need to talk to yourself, you're not going to be able to communicate well with other people. If you can't communicate with yourself, you're not going to be able to positively and effectively communicate with other people.
Yeah, that's 100%. So that's that. Back to your question. Yeah, that's the first thing I would do is advance your communication skills with other people, because that's the gold mine.
Yeah. And even for this channel and this podcast, and I think we can all agree that the point of this whole thing is just to help people improve themselves. And we just started a couple months ago doing a Zoom meeting with our coworkers, you know, and why did we do that? So that we can communicate and bring better content, you know, and we weren't doing that before. And it's like, why haven't we been doing this the whole time? And then between talking amongst ourselves and the editor, and we're like, man, why didn't we think? Well, it's because we weren't talking about it.
Absolutely. Because without communication, I'll go back to the brick and mortar business I used to run.
Yeah.
The communication skill in that building was so bad. It's like the production line wasn't talking to the manufacturer and the people that actually made the parts. And they would just sit there and curse them out because they weren't fitting right.
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't tell anybody, including myself. I was like, how's everything going? They're like, it's going fine, because they didn't want me in that department because I was their boss.
Yeah.
So they'd be like, it's going fine. And then I'm getting these finished products and I'm like, these look like junk.
This
and
isn't
like,
fine.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So I went backtrack. Thought you said it was going fine. Well, I didn't want to bother you. Okay, well, you have to get to the root of the problem, which is communication. If they would have told the people that were making the parts, this isn't working, it would have ended right there. We would have brainstormed as a unit and actually got it working. Heck yeah, just a little story I had.
No, and it's communication. You know, if you don't, it requires uncomfortable conversations. But if you have a problem, let's say that problem's right here, and you communicate it, it'll get solved, and all of a sudden you're on your way again. If you have a problem and you're here and you fail to communicate it, all of a sudden that problem's up here. I mean, it just gets worse. So you could have had an uncomfortable conversation here and resolved your issue, but instead you let it get to this point. And guess what? Now you got to have that conversation anyway, but it's worse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, with like 10 other people.
Yeah.
You know,
I think another thing to consider is, I saw this quote the other day, and it said, you either voice your feelings and fuck it up, or you hold it inside and let it fuck you up.
Yeah, that's perfect. I'm gonna write that down. That's good, man.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
But think about it. That's the same exact situation. If you have something you're not okay with here, and then let's say 5 years later you never said anything, well, that's just gonna keep on keeping on, you know, and you're gonna be like this, and all of a sudden you're back here and you're down here and you're up here and here, resolved it, and then just went on with your life.
Absolutely. I'm John Olson, aka Cheers. That's Jarret Jenny, aka SWR. I'll see you next time, man.
Good to see you, buddy. We'll be back next week.
Thanks for tuning into the Online Entrepreneur Experience. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes that we're releasing and any of these amazing pieces of value that we're giving out. And if you could take the time out of your day and leave us a review, we would be so grateful. We look forward to seeing you on that next episode.